Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for joining us on the second day of the International Conference on the Prevention of Radicalization through Religious Education. Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Rifki Zulian, acting as the Master of Ceremony. Before we begin, we'd like to remind all participants to abide the conference's rules as shown on the screen. Sebelum kita mulai, saya ingin mengingatkan kepada seluruh peserta untuk mematuhi aturan-aturan pada konferensi ini seperti yang tampak pada layar. To have an optimal experience during the conference, we have provided you with a translation system. It will help you to better understand and engage in the conference without any language barrier. Untuk mendapatkan pengalaman terbaik selama konferensi, kami telah menyediakan sistem translasi atau penerjemah. Hal ini akan membantu Anda untuk mengerti lebih baik dan mengikuti konferensi tanpa adanya halangan bahasa. For you who use PC or laptop, you will see this display. Bagi Anda yang menggunakan komputer atau laptop, Anda akan melihat tampilan seperti ini. To activate the translation system, please click the button Interpretations at the bottom of your screen and then choose language that you want to hear during the conference. Untuk mengaktifkan sistem penerjemah, silakan tekan tombol interpretasi di bagian bawah layar Anda dan pilih bahasa yang ingin Anda dengarkan selama konferensi berlangsung. For you who utilize mobile phone, you will see this display. Bagi Anda yang menggunakan telepon genggam, Anda akan melihat tampilan sebagai berikut. To activate the translation system, please click the triple dots button and it will trigger a pop-up menu. Then click on Language Interpretations and then choose the language that you want to hear during the conference. Untuk mengaktifkan sistem penerjemah, silakan tekan tombol titik 3 yang akan muncul dan akan memunculkan menu pop-up. Selanjutnya, tekan pada tombol interpretasi bahasa dan pilih bahasa yang ingin Anda dengarkan selama konferensi berlangsung. On the previous day, we discussed many interesting topics brought up by amazing speakers around the world. For example, Dr. G. Spelman from Protestants Theologische Universiteit Netherlands, Professor Ruben from the University of Bonn, Germany, Ms. Alisa Wahid, the coordinator of Gus Durian Network Indonesia, Professor Sikling from Amsterdam University of Applied Science, Dr. Gulisin from Stichting IDEIS Netherlands, and Professor Makin, the rector of State Islamic University, Sunan Kalijaga, Indonesia. To continue our discussion, let us introduce our moderator today. She is Siti Syamsiatun, MA, PhD. She is the lecturer of State Islamic University Sunan Kalijaga, Indonesia, and the director of Indonesian Consortium for Religious Study, or ICRS. Without further ado, let us invite our moderator. Please welcome Ms. Syamsiatun.
Recording in progress.
Thank you very much, Mas Rifki.
You're welcome.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
So shall we start now?
Sure.
Okay. Bapak Ibu, dear participants, colleagues, teachers from across Indonesia, and also friends and colleagues across the world, especially colleagues from the Netherlands, Indonesia, Muslim-Christian relations, and also its partners. It is my pleasure that today I will be the moderator for our discussion today. As mentioned by Mas Rifki, this is the second day of the conference. Yesterday we had great speakers talking about education and also life in Germany and other parts of the world, in which, you know, like differences, plurality become our common features in our society. And also some of them tackle about the education, where sometimes the burden of the teachers, like we are all, yeah, sometimes overwhelming with the tasks from the government, with the tasks from the family and others. And now that we also have some problem with the radicalization or extreme violent extremism, then education also become a place where people seek to help how to do this. Because some of the research shows that young people, students, are exposed to radical extremist ideas that they receive or they get from the internet, where sometimes teachers and parents cannot have control on it. So there are also problems of injustices here and there. So we need actually to work together from the government level, civil society, and also from the education. And for our conference today, we are focusing on the religious education, how we could contribute in tackling these pressing issues to make young people, young new generation can accept the differences and respect that, and hence can live together in peace and could work together. And in such cannot be done without many efforts. And in fact, efforts are not easy, but we are very optimistic on the hands of the teachers who are coming today. We are very grateful that the members of the Association of Pendidik ya untuk Guru Agama Islam di Indonesia, you join this conference because you thought your contribution is very important. Today we will listen to experts who already done some research on the issue of education and violent extremism, and we will listen to the presentation of the first panelist. We will have 4 panelists today, and for the first 2 panelists will present, then will be followed by question and answer. Then we continue to the 3rd and 4th panelists. And for all of you later on, if you like to have some question or clarification, you could write in your chat room, and also you can use Indonesian, because we will translate your question. However, if you feel like confident enough, you could also raise your question in English, so we don't need to translate them. We are very grateful also to welcome speakers for today's conference from Turkey, from the Netherlands, and also from Indonesia. The first speaker is Professor Dr. Mu'alla Seljuk. She is an expert on education. She has done quite a lot of research on education from Ankara University. So without further ado, I would like to invite her. So Dr. Mu'alla Seljuk, the screen is yours and your time is 15 minutes, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning to you all, and Selamun Alaikum, and many greetings from Ankara, Turkey. I'm really very, very happy to be here with you, and thank you for the organization to give me the opportunity to share with you some of my works, and also to gain wisdom from the speakers and from the participants and from the work of the organization. Thank you very much. Let me first share my screen with you. Do you see the screen now?
Yes,
Yeah.
we do.
Yes, thank you. The title of my presentation is Exploring Text and Context. What I mean by that, it is actually to communicate with the text, with the Quranic text, as teacher and students in teaching Islam in a diverse society. As our moderator told us that we are living in a very diverse world now, and we need each other. And also, we have to learn about our text, our religious text, and I am going, as a Muslim researcher, I'm going to tell you about how we learn from the text, from the Quranic chapters, from surahs, from the ayahs, and how we learn about the text. So it is like a bridge, as you see on the screen. I say teaching as a bridge to students' understanding of Quranic concepts. My presentation would be two main parts. First part would be, how does the Quran define itself? We are going to have an overview of the names in the Quran, how the Quran defines. We know that the Quran is Kalamullah, the word of God. But again, we need from the text some insights in order to create a theology of encounter, in order to prevent the violent extremism, in order to prepare our students for a better world that they can share with each other their wisdom and work for the well-being of the society and well-being of themselves. This is the first part. And the second part, I would like to take the concept of Ahl al-Kitab, that is the Quran defined the Christian and Muslims. And I will present you some parts of the Quran defined Ahl al-Kitab, and then I will show you how we teach our students this concept. Actually, teaching concept, it's been a long journey in my academic life, as our moderator told us. You see in the screen, there is the first time in its own, the lexicon of dialogue. It's in German, in Turkish, in Arabic, it's going to be in English. This is for Christian and Muslim relationship, how to understand each other from their main concepts. So also I have a Teaching Islam Within a Diversity Society book. This is Ta'aruf, a Quranic concept. Also an Islamic worldview from Turkey, and many other works that help us, that help my students, and that help me to collaborate with each other in interreligious, interfaith contexts, that we can work together, understand self and other. But I have to, first of all, share with you as a kind of gratitude and thanks to my professor Birgit. You see her on the screen that she is in her mid-80s, and she started the religious education movement in Ankara University, and she established religious education and interreligious education as a scientific subject in our country. You may see the screen and the picture behind her, and she told us that we have to pay attention to what is going on in the world, and to explore our faith deeply, to be deep believer in our faith, and to respect the other. So she told us to engage in one another. We learned from her. I can say that what she taught me, at least personally, be reflective practitioner and reflect on your faith in action. So what we do in Ilahiyat Fakültesi, the Faculty of Ilahiyat, the Divinity Faculty in Ankara, we have a question at the heart of our work. We ask a very important question: how can theology and human existence meet meaningfully? And make it more specific for religious education, the department raised the question, what would be if we transform our religious education system so that our teachers, candidates or prospective teachers, which we train in our school, were empowered to know how to engage with the message of the Quran in order to guidance in their life for themselves and their future students. I'm sure most of you are familiar with the Quranic message, and the Quran focus on the act of reflection. You see some part of the Quran, some ayahs that you should reflect on what you are created from. Will you not then reflect? You know the first creation, why then you don't reflect? We have many verses that invite Muslim to reflect, to understand, to think, to try to deepen their faith. But let me share with you something very sincerely. When we teach our student about the Quranic message, let's say the reflection, because I'm going to use this word reflect, reflection, reflective practitioner too much in my presentation. If we teach them that Quran say, all things we have created by pairs and you may reflect, teaching about reflect does not make our student reflective practitioner. We need some approach. We need some methods to introduce the message into their understanding, as one of the presenters said yesterday, to our mind, to our heart, and to our action, as a whole understanding. So today, in my presentation, I'm going to share with you a model which emerged from my teaching for many years. I teach with this model, and I am asked to present you today just one part of it. This is the text and context relationship. But this model has 5 phases, 5 steps. One of them is to reflect on present situation. Whatever concept you want to teach to your students, we first try to see the reality, the present situation. We reflect on present situation. Second, we go to the text, first the Quran and the life of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then of course the leaders and the scientists in history and today. And we try to understand the text, which part, this part I am going to present you in my time. I hope I have enough time to present it. And we have 3 more steps. I teach my students. I teach them to reflect their personal development as people of faith, to reflect for common goods as a salih amal, or we call it that, good deeds for society. And I teach them some methods in life with their faith. Today, I'm going to present you just one phase, which is text and context relationship. We have to know the text, what the text says about, let's say, our subject today, to prevent radicalism and to help our students to be more peaceful in their faith and to be respectful to the other. In this stage, in this text and context stage, first, we start from the names of the Quran. In a project, it's called The Quran and the Individual. Not only religious educator, but professors from tafsir and the history of Islam came together and worked on 55 names of the Quran. We got them from the Quran. Just a few examples you will see here. Quran finds itself as a book, as a novel, as a sacred light, as a mercy, as a blessed source, as a guide, as a warner, as the ultimate knowledge and words of Allah. 55 names. I use the word kitab, furqan, and kalam mostly when I teach threshold concepts. Threshold concepts mean the difficult concepts for my students to understand, like about the concept of Ahl al-Kitab, jihad, war, the statue of woman, and so other important point and concept. I used al-Kitab, al-Furqan, al-Kalam, but due to time restriction, I'm trying to be strict to the time, so I'm not going to give you more information about this concept, but a few hints that how Islam, how the Quran define itself, let's say, in terms of kitab. In the Quran, the word kitab is generally used for the sum of the revelation that are delivered to the whole prophets. While naming previous revelations as Al-Kitab, the Quran also names itself Al-Kitab. Just short statements, but I will share with you later my PowerPoint and send it to the organizer. Al-Furqan, it's very, very important concept for today for us, that because as Muslim, we believe that Quran helps us to distinguish between good and bad, between beautiful and ugly, between the righteous and dishonest, truth and falsehood, order and chaos, between permissible and forbidden, between sin and good deed, and darkness, and all concepts need to be explained to our students carefully and responsibly. Not only the literal meaning, but also the deep meaning in the context, in the word of the Quran. So the last one, Al-Kalam, this is very important that when I teach my student, I teach them, yes, the Quran is the Kalamullah. We have an understanding, but it's not only a person and a subjective understanding. We consult the Asbab al-Nuzul, that's the occasion of the revelation. We ask what happened in the time of the Prophet, what they understood from the message, and try to create a bridge and try to understand it today for us, the meaning of the message. So it's a bridge of creating meaning. So it's a summary of the 55 names in the project we got. We learned that when we analyze the names of the Quran, we can see that the Quran is mercy and gift of Allah for humanity and Muslim. And what is up to us as religious educator to teach this message to our students, but how? Let me make it more concrete and get away from such abstractions. Just a short example about the concept of the book, very short, but I'm happy to answer your questions, of course, if you want to learn more or if you are interested. The concept people of the book, the Ahl al-Kitab, Utul Kitab, is in the Quran, and it refers to Muslim and Christian. And when we read this concept in an chronological order, started from the Mecca period till the end, to Medina, till the end of the message, let me go together just a short review in the Quran and see that the Quran defines the previous holy books as light, illuminating, as mercy and guidance. Where you see the example of the verse on screen. And the Quran praises some, let's say, Christians, but also criticize the people of the book. And we see the Quran praises them, and then the Quran says that there are dependable people, but also there are other people which are criticized with their bad action. So what the teachers do, and also the Quran invites people of the book to a common word between us, that's let's believe in the same God. So what did the teacher do? The teacher needs to enter into a hermeneutical cycle of the text and raise questions. What is the meaning of the text for the first addressee? What were the cultural norms at that time? What is the nature of the message? Is it a legal, ethical, or theological message for us? Is it universal, or it has some cultural or some historical dimension? What are they? How could the message be related to the universal objectives of the Quran? We know that the Quran is a universal message. How was the message applied at that time, and what were its different applications throughout the history? How could we apply it to our contemporary context? What do you think about the universality and the specificity of the message? Can you propose some example of application for today? I ask my students. Can you suggest alternative ways of understanding the text? Now I come to a conclusion. When we together come to a theology of a ta'aruf. We see that the core and essence, cultural and core and essence and ethical values of the Quran teach us the ta'aruf and says humankind, not only Muslim, not any particular faith, humankind. We created you all from a single pair of a male and female and made you into races and tribes so that you should know each other, like we are doing now. And I really grateful, and I really pray God for the opportunity that we have today, because now we are trying to know each other. And the most honored in the eyes of God are the ones who are most mind of God. God has full knowledge and is well acquainted with all things. So the theology I teach my students, entering into hermeneutical circle of the text, asking questions, trying to help them to reach the conceptual clarity, it's all done in this spirit of ta'aruf. That's the encounter each other and having peaceful relationship with God, having peaceful relationship with other, and having peaceful relationship with ourselves. That's also called in Islam musalama. And coming to the end of my presentation, I have two messages. One for the scholars, for the researchers, because the Quran says that another of his signs is the creation of the heavens and earth and the diversity of your language and colors. There are truly signs in this for those who know. So as the Quran says, those who know and don't know are not equal. This is our obligation to research the secret, learn the hikmah, the wisdom in this diversity, because God says this is the will of God. Diversity. If I spoke in Turkish, a few of you maybe could understand. You're speaking in your own language, but we try to find a common language to understand each other globally, but again, we keep our identity locally. So there is no, let's say, something wrong in this kind of relation as some people think. This is God's will, the diversity. We should respect diversity, and we should increase our knowledge to find the hikmah. And my last message to our teachers who are listening to us, dear teachers, we need some courage to teach ta'aruf, because we are living in a very, very conflictual world. Some say insistently conflictual world, but this is our work to do, and for a better world. In order to be a good teacher, we must do more than speak the truth. We must also search for the truth, explore the truth, guide our students in our journey. We must also act upon the truth, the plain truth, the different within us and around us. We must devote ourselves to the truth. Otherwise, our lives are mistaken. Let's pray. May God grant us the strength and courage to be truthful and help our students to look through the eyes of mutual understanding, which is ta'aruf. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Mualla. This is very significant to us, particularly for the teachers of Islamic religion who are participating in this conference, because this presentation is not only talking about the normative, about the idea, but also a little bit on how to do. And I think this how to do needs to be explored and practiced. Maybe later on will be followed by other workshops where, you know, like teachers have more time to practice, because this is very important. Sometimes teachers need to, you know, practical tool how to do it, you know, on the cognitive level, on the normative level. I think our teachers somehow understand about this idea of ta'aruf, this idea of amal salih, you know, ma'ruf, al-munkarat, how to avoid the munkarat, but how to do it in a way where, you know, like students could understand and students could practice, so that they can become the reflective practitioners, because we are living with our neighbors who are different from us. There are diversity even within Muslim community themselves. So thank you again, Dr. Mu'alla, for your ideas you're sharing with us. Thank you very much. Now we would like to invite the second speaker, Dr. Muhammad Wildan. Dr. Wildan is a faculty at UIN Sunan Kalijogo. He also right now currently acting as a dean of the Faculty of Literature and Islamic Civilization. He has done much research on this PVE, prevention of violent extremism in schools in Indonesia. So I think Professor Dr. Wildan's presentation will enrich, you know, like previous, you know, findings from Turkey, given the situation. Turkey and Indonesia have some, you know, like similar features in terms of the adherence of Muslims, where, you know, Muslim are majority. Although maybe Indonesia is more archipelagic, with the, you know, water and land, whereas Turkey have more lands, maybe. So those kind of feature give, you know, like diversity in the way people live, and also the history of the coming of Islam in both countries. Without further ado, I would like to provide this screen to Dr. Muhammad Wildan.
Thank you very much, Ibu Siti Samsiatun. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Allow me to share my screen for you. Okay. First of all, thank you very much. I should also pass to the committee, that is NICMCR, who has given me opportunity to share my concern on preventing and countering radicalism and extremism in Indonesia. Today, in this occasion, I will talk about preventing extremism through religious education in Indonesia. So this is to add what have been presented by Professor Mu'alla Seljuk for Turkish case, and I would like to share with you all, the participants, for Indonesian case. So here what I want to present today, hopefully about 15 minutes, about the phenomenon of radicalism and extremism in Indonesia, and also some drivers of extremism, and then PVE or PE, through religious education in Indonesia, from the government and ministry level, and from the university and school level. First of all, just to remind you all that here there are some cases of devastating bombs or terrorism in Indonesia from early the turning of the century until the most recent, that is the most devastating, is the Surabaya church bombs. This is, I listed only the most devastating cases or terrorism cases in Indonesia, but actually there are more other cases happen in the country, as you may have also listened, watch, or maybe you listen from any medias. And the second is also the phenomenon of extremism among youth. I would a bit explain to you. There are some research has been conducted by the ministry or by national agency of counterterrorism, by national agency, security agency, by Alfara Research Center and others, and mostly you can see here that the danger of extremism is still there. We can see here what have been conducted, the research have been conducted, for example, by PPIM in 2017, about 51.1% of students, university student and school students have intolerant views, and about 34.1% agree on violence actions. I myself have also conducted research in 2018, in the end of 2018 to the early 2019, that we survey and research and observation in about 18 Islamic universities in eight cities in Indonesia. We have found that there are some students at the Faculty of Tarbiyah, especially PAI, they agree that the necessity of Islamic State, and also about 27% they agree the use of violence for religious purposes. So this is also quite alarming for Indonesia lately. But in general, the phenomenon of extremism across the research I shown you, this is quite alarming for Indonesia. So now, what are the drivers of extremism and radicalism? Of course, there is no single factor of extremism and radicalism, but I think I can highlight for you all the religious interpretation. That is the phenomenon of I'd say Darul Islam and Darul Harab, the Takfiri, the ideology or the belief of Taghut, Jihad, and Khilafah, still whether this is misinterpreted or this has been interpreted on the different direction or different purposes. So I would like to see now about preventing extremism through religious education at the governmental level or at the ministry level. In 2021, the government, especially the president, have issued a national action plan or we call it RAN-PE, Rencana Aksi Nasional Penanggulangan Ekstremisme. So that's in 2001, which is consists of 3 pillars: prevention, law enforcement, and strengthening national legislation, and the third, international partnership and cooperation. And if we see the the attachment of the National Action Plan, this is very long attachment, and this part of the concern of the government at the National Action Plan is on the education. The second, the Ministry of Religious Affairs has also issued a concept of religious moderation, which is consists of 4 points. That is nationality, commitments, tolerance, non-violence, and accommodating to local cultures. So this is also issued in our launch in 2019. Along with all this issue, the Ministry of Education also issued a regulation in 2018 about the strengthening character education. So I believe this is not those 3 regulation is not only the regulation issued by the government. There are some other small scale other regulation by the government or by the government at the local level, or by the ministry or other governmental institution. They are at their own ways. They issued a regulation to strengthen how to prevent extremism in the country. So based on my observation about the preventing extremism through religious education at the university level, the Minister of Religious Affairs, for example, has commended all the Islamic religious universities and almost all the religious universities or higher education in Indonesia to establish center or rumah moderasi beragama. So rumah moderasi beragama is I translate here as a center of religious moderation. And not only that the Ministry of Religious Affairs have also underlined that the universities, higher education, Islamic higher education should be the center of religious moderation, and also composing moderate curricula for school, either public school or private school. So also strengthening interreligious dialogues. However, what we have witnessed at the local level, especially when I see at my university, so far the Rumah Moderasi Beragama has been established, but we haven't seen so far to what extent the Rumah Moderasi Beragama has done maybe research or surveys or activities, but hopefully in the coming years, as commanded by the Minister of Religious Affairs, all these religious moderation center would strengthen their activities. So another things that we have to underline here also, that the government and universities should provide inclusive religious teachers. As I have underlined my research in 2018 and 19, that there are some teachers not public, I mean not scholar subjects, but religious teachers. We found that some of them, they do not really understand well about contemporary issues of Islam, like khilafah, like jihad, like takfiri, for example. So this is our task nowadays to strengthen this and to empower religious teachers and also students of religious teachers to be to master all subject matters. And and on the textbook, we can see also the government and school should provide inclusive textbook. I have also witnessed throughout my concern on extremism that there are a lot of books that is published by private publisher, and it is used by as a textbook by private school, which consists of some intolerance contents. So this is that the government should control the publication and also the use of textbook in private school. Of course, for the public school, maybe has been well controlled. And also the last one is that the universities and schools should also monitor some informal religious groups or rohes activities, including the role of alumni, as we have seen in many schools and also some public universities. There are a lot of student activities which is beyond the monitor, the control of the universities, of the caretaker of the universities. So this is also we should take care of. So at the end, let me conclude that radicalism and extremism views is a complex phenomenon which should be addressed comprehensively. So there is no one single solution for this problem or this challenge, let me say. And at educational level, public senior high school, for example, are the most exposed to extremism. As we see, there are some cases that there are because they lack of religious knowledge in the one side, and on the other side that there are abundant of information provided by internet that they should they could listen, they could absorb, which is also a challenge, a big challenge for them. So this is all our problem that should be addressed comprehensively, and it should also involve all stakeholders in preventing extremism. So thank you very much, Ibu Samsiatun. Hope fully my presentation would be fruitful for further discussion later. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Muhammad Wildan. So we can see a quite gloomy pictures about the rise of intolerance among the youth. And as mentioned also, the causes are complex. It's not only about our understanding on text, Quranic text, and how we shall interpret them, but it also relates to the external situation, such as the corruption, the high politic, money politic, unjust situation, and people feeling deprived. So this is really a complex issues, and we can start here from what we can do as teachers. And it is very strategic and very important that we teachers have this association in which like with our concerns, the concerns of the teachers, the needs and that difficulties that teachers have to respond to different situation. So we have like 10 minutes before we continue to the next speaker. We have 10 minutes for question and answer. I saw hand raised, but then it disappeared. So kami persilahkan Bapak Ibu kalau ada pertanyaan, if you have any question, please you could raise hand. Bapak Bani Hasan, kami persilahkan. Please Bapak Bani Hasan, please kindly be brief and to whom the question is addressed. Masih mute Bapak Bani Hasan dan
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Ya, saya menggunakan bahasa Indonesia saja ya.
Ya.
Mohon izin bertanya dan perkenalkan saya Bani Hasan sebagai guru pendidikan agama Islam di SDN Cangir 3 Kecamatan Lego Kabupaten Tangerang. Pertanyaan cukup singkat. Terima kasih untuk pemateri. Mengenai isu radikalisme, pertanyaan mendasar saya adalah bagaimana kita bisa membedakan secara basic antara paham radikalisme dengan paham pendidikan sesuai dengan ajaran Nabi, seperti misalkan anak usia 10 tahun itu kalau misalkan nggak mau sholat sudah harus dipukul. Nah, kadang ada pandang yang berpikiran negatif, ini radikal nih, ini terlalu ekstremis. Mohon maaf, perbedaan antara radikalisme dengan kegiatan amar ma'ruf dan nahi mungkar. Kadang kan suka dipilah-pilih dan suka dipersamakan persepsi tentang radikalisme dengan gerakan amar ma'ruf nahi mungkar. Itu saja, terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Mungkin ini maybe this address to both ya. How shall we differentiate between the radicalism and also our understanding of interpreting some of the prophetic tradition, and also Quranic inception of amar ma'ruf nahi mungkar, that we should enjoin good deed and forbid bad deed. Sometimes the forbidding bad deed could be interpreted as radical, like that, ya, Pak Hasan Bani Hasan. Okay, second question from Pak Guru.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, ma'am. I'll try to speak in English as I can. I am Guru from Malang. I am a teacher in senior high school in Malang, in religious education. And for Pak Wildan, Dr. Wildan, said that the problem in about extremism and intolerance is the lack of the teacher, the lack of knowledge of the teacher in contemporary knowledge and issues about religion. And I want to ask for Pak Wildan, Dr. Wildan, how the concrete step to strengthening the teacher of religion to have the good idea in anti-tolerance among the youth, and how to strengthening the student of religious education, what kind of knowledge that we need to elevate our knowledge in this case, in this issue. I think it's enough. Thank you, Dr. Wildan and Ibu. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Well, thank you very much. We have lots of questions. Two with the raised hand, the others are already writing on the chat room. So because we still have 3 more speakers, so I think we better stick for this time being to answering the question that have been raised by Pak Bani Hassan, Mas Guru, and also from Nurul Husni about to Professor Mu'alla about teaching Quran in, like for the kids, because like in Indonesia, the time is very limited, the time allocation for teaching that in school. So I would like to invite Dr. Mu'alla to respond the question, and then later on, Pak Wildan could also respond afterwards, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I see from the chat the Lauren Karina asking about this question, and also there are other colleagues. There is an approach, and my PhD was on teaching the Islamic message or Quranic concept kids from the preschool to the elementary, let's say. Or the reason why I am telling you is the approach should be according to the developmental level. It's not a matter of didactic only. It is a matter of understanding. If we want our kids to learn Islam, we have to first know their development. How they feel, how they think, how they understand. Let's give you an example. For example, in the preschool level and the first two, up to 8 years old, the kids are like want to imitate the elders. So if they see good examples around, then they learn how to behave. The general rule to be given, but it is really a lecture to answer this question in detail, but the general idea is to give them the core values at the beginning, how to be a good person, sharing, telling the truth, helping the other, because children do not discriminate. They are inclusive by nature. They don't exclude the other. They learn it later. So from the very beginning, if we know about their developmental level and their way of thinking and their way of feeling, then we can program the data or the content accordingly. We call it developmental religious education. As I see from the presentation of Wildan, and it says that to present a moderate curricula, it's a kind of preventing plan, a moderate curricula. That's good, but to say it moderate or extremist or put the name from the very beginning does not function very well. We have to, first of all, care about the development of the students, what they need, and we can then plan the curricula accordingly. So this is a matter of knowing the child, knowing the student, and also knowing which content would integrate with their understanding and their feeling. So the help will come from the social science, from psychology, from sociology, from anthropology. And I'm really thankful to Dr. Wildan. I learned the case of Indonesia. We learned something from the media, but it's not always the true picture. I see that collecting and trying to raise awareness among the young, the tolerance outlook is really a very urgent point. And to start with the concepts, because good thinking or right thinking comes from the right understanding. What does it mean to be Khalifa? What does it mean to order the good and prevent the bad? For example, ordering the good, for me now, it's institutional. It's not personal. The organization could order the good and prevent the bad. But me, I can only order the good for my student and for my kids, and so the responsibility also changed. We have to talk about the historical context and the contemporary context, and we have to integrate both. We should be careful about the grassroots, the core values. We keep the core values, but understand the world, what's going on around us. So, and preventing extremism is really a complex thing, as you said, and Dr. Wildan said. We are doing our own part to make the message close to our kids, to our students' understanding. We have to collaborate, and we have to learn more about their development, their understanding, and their way of looking at life. So thank you. That's all that I can say.
One more question is very interesting from YouTube. You can see that. Can you see it in the chat room? There is a question from YouTube to you about wearing hijab for the teachers of religion in Turkey, whether they wear hijab or not, or whether wearing hijab is considered radical.
Actually, Turkey has a very hard process about the hijab, but now it is up to people, it's up to person to decide whether to have it or not. But in history, we had really struggled around this. Some people present it as from the religious aspect, the other from the political, other from, but now it seems to me that it's a personal thing. So you decide whether to have it or not too. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mualla Seljuk. Now I would like to invite Dr. Wildan to respond to the question, please.
Okay, thank you, Mbak Atun. Hopefully I could respond the question properly. The first question from Mr. Bani Hasan, how to distinguish between extremism and amar ma'ruf nahi munkar. So my view is that amar ma'ruf nahi munkar, as long as maybe as you mentioned about you educate your own children, so maybe not that problem, but based on the 4 pillars, at least the 3 first pillars of moderasi beragama by the Ministry of Religious Affairs, as long as you you do not cross the boundaries of kebangsaan, then tolerancy or tolerance and non-violence. So this is still still okay, still manageable. So, but if you cross the border of nationalism or nationality, so you, like for example, didn't acknowledge the existence of Pancasila or the existence of constitution. For example, you want to change the constitution, so this is cross the boundaries of nationality. The second, tolerance. So as long as your attitude is still within the framework of corridor of tolerance, still okay. And also you do not use violence, especially in the public sphere. So the second question from Pak Guru about guru yang kurang paham tentang isu-isu kontemporer. Yes, you know that the challenge of Islamism in contemporary life is very challenging. So we have been how to say kita dibanjiri oleh many information from social media. This is very overwhelmed for us. So I mean that this is such kind of challenge for us. That's why we need, especially for the youth, yeah, students are in need of teachers who master on religious subjects, especially contemporary issues, not only on praying, on fasting, on 5 pillars of Islam. That's too basic. But in contemporary life, there are a lot of podcasts, a lot of memes, a lot of videos, a lot of TikToks, maybe contents who tend to challenge student in terms of also moderasi beragama. So this is the teachers, the contemporary religious teachers or guru agama at the public school or in religious school should master Islam, not only basic pillars, basic Islam, but also contemporary issues. This is quite significant. So my point is that we have also endorsed this. We have composed also like executive summary of our research that we also how to say, we have issued executive summary, and also we pass it to the Ministry of Religious Affairs, the necessity of upgrading some religious teachers. So this is the task of the government, and could be also, this is the answer for Mas Muhammad Rashid about the prospect of Rumah Moderasi Beragama. So this could be also a task of Rumah Moderasi Beragama to empower, to upskill the knowledge level of guru-guru agama at the public school, especially because you know that in the long run, I think it needs another, how to say, policies from the university caretakers, rectors, or ketua, for example, that they have to provide enough funds for Rumah Moderasi Beragama to do like research and another workshops for religious teacher and some others to make the existence of Rumah Moderasi Beragama more useful and fruitful for Indonesia, especially in the framework of preventing extremism. I think that's enough, Bu Atun.
Yeah, thank you very much, Pak Wildan, and also Dr. Mu'alla Seljuk. We are very sorry to some of you who already raised questions and we didn't have time to respond to all, but maybe some of the questions will be responded to later speakers. So thank you again, Professor Mu'alla Seljuk and Dr. Muhammad Wildan. Now we would like to continue to listening to our third speaker. That is Dr. Haji Mahnan Marbawi and Dr. Haji Atik Tapipin. These are the chair of your association, the teacher association. So I think this is very strategic that he also become the speakers and connect the groups of the association, the members of the association to the members of the other association, the consortium, the NICMCR. So without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Mahnan Marbawi and also Dr. Atik for both of you altogether 15 minutes maximum for both of you. Please, the screen is yours. Sorry for for the time.
Terima kasih. Baik, terima kasih banyak. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam Agpai, salam Pancasila. Ibu Siti, terima kasih. Saya menggunakan bahasa Indonesia saja karena untuk lebih akrab dengan teman-teman saya di seluruh Indonesia. Sekedar informasi saja, Bu Siti, ini sebenarnya anggota Agpai sudah menunggu 1.356 yang siap join. Sayangnya.
Oh. Ya, mudah-mudahan besok lain waktu. Sekarang di YouTube juga kan ya, mengikuti.
Ya, di YouTube juga.
Bagus, terima kasih Bapak.
Saya akan memulai problem kita. Agpai itu memiliki pengalaman yang cukup banyak terkait preventing violent extremism di sekolah. Kami mempunyai beberapa program bagaimana menguatkan isu-isu moderasi, inklusif, dan toleransi melalui intervensi di sekolah, baik melalui rohis atau penguatan kapasitas guru-guru agama. Nah, sebenarnya problem guru-guru agama atau problem radikalisme di sekolah, kami melihatnya di sekolah itu menjadi apa yang disebut ada kontestasi ideologi, gitu Ibu. Dan sebenarnya dalam konteks pendidikan agama, pemerintah memiliki kepentingan yang besar bagaimana sekolah menjadi bagian penting untuk penguatan ideologi, termasuk di dalamnya ideologi Pancasila dan moderasi beragama. Dalam konteks sekolah sebagai public school atau ada kontestasi ideologi di sekolah. Kenapa demikian? Karena pertama, sekolah merupakan bagian dari structural opportunity, di mana masyarakat atau siapapun bisa masuk ke sekolah untuk juga terlibat dalam proses sekolah di sekolah, atau bahkan dalam konteks tertentu sekolah-sekolah yang dibangun oleh swasta atau oleh individu jelas sekali memiliki landasan ideologi tertentu yang mungkin bisa jadi dibawa oleh pendirinya. Yang kedua, kontestasi ideologi itu terjadi karena sekolah menjadi sangat efektif untuk bagian marketing ideologi kelompok-kelompok tertentu. Kenapa demikian? Karena sekolah memiliki sebuah rentang waktu yang cukup panjang, di mana sekolah bisa mengintervensi apa yang disebut nilai-nilai dalam rentang waktu yang panjang itu. Tentu kalau SD 6 tahun, SMP 3 tahun, SMA 3 tahun. Jelas sekali marketing ideologi yang akan ditawarkan dan dilaksanakan selama rentang waktu proses sekolah itu. Bagaimana marketing ideologi itu dilakukan? Salah satunya melalui kurikulum intervention. Melalui intervensi kurikulum, baik melalui proses pembelajaran, ekstrakurikuler, intrakurikuler, bahkan termasuk di dalamnya kegiatan-kegiatan keagamaan di rohis. Nah, marketing ideologi ini juga dilakukan oleh kelompok-kelompok tertentu yang dalam tanda kutip kelompok radikal itu masuk melalui kegiatan rohis. Tadi Pak Dr. Wida sudah menunjukkan beberapa hasil penelitiannya terkait bagaimana kelompok-kelompok radikal masuk ke sekolah, yang salah satunya juga melalui kegiatan-kegiatan keagamaan. PPM juga sudah menyebutkan hal itu. Nah, ideological expectation melalui curriculum intervention ini ditujukan dengan atau bertujuan untuk menghasilkan aparatus ideologi atau apa yang disebut kita sebagai militan-militan atau orang-orang yang berkeinginan mendukung kelompok-kelompok radikal atau ideologi radikal itu. Nah, berkaitan dengan persoalan tersebut, Agpai memiliki sebuah pengalaman, Bu Siti, Pak Wildan. Agpai punya jaringan dengan 235 guru agama seluruh Indonesia dari semua jenjang, TK, SD, SMP, SMA. Jadi dalam konteks preventing violent extremism, Agpai sangat strategis dalam konteks menguatkan moderasi beragama, menguatkan sikap-sikap inklusif dan toleransi. Nah, apa yang sudah kami lakukan? Ini beberapa rencana atau apa yang sudah kita lakukan dalam konteks mengintervensi preventing violent extremism di sekolah. Sekolah memiliki problem transnational ideology. Kemudian ada kelompok-kelompok belajar tertentu yang agak eksklusif dan radical extremism yang juga menyasar sekolah tadi. Sekolah sebagai social opportunity tadi kan. Nah, Apa yang kita lakukan? Pertama, bagaimana menguatkan apa yang disebut Islam rahmatil alamin atau bahasa Kementerian Agama moderasi beragama. Kami mencoba mencari aktor-aktor kunci di sekolah, baik guru atau siswa, yang bisa dikuatkan atau bisa diinternalkan atau menjadi bagian dari program kami. Nah, religious education teacher dan student, penguatan guru agama dan siswa ini dilakukan baik melalui kegiatan-kegiatan offline maupun online dan intervensi-intervensi melalui kegiatan pembelajaran dan kegiatan ekstrakurikuler. Penguatan juga dilakukan melalui policy strengthening atau penguatan kebijakan sekolah. Maka yang disasar adalah bagaimana kita membangun school culture dan classroom culture yang itu mengkampanyekan moderasi beragama, kira-kira begitu. PVI program yang kita lakukan atau pendekatan PVI yang kita lakukan di sekolah adalah pertama membangun networking. Bagaimana kita punya aktor-aktor kunci di sekolah, yang kedua melalui pendekatan struktural, yaitu melalui kepala sekolah, dan yang ketiga bagaimana kita mengajak mereka berpartisipasi aktif dalam proses PVI yang kita jalankan di beberapa sekolah yang kita lakukan. Sekolah-sekolah intervensi kita ada di Tangerang Selatan, ada di Jawa Timur, Jawa Tengah, Jawa Barat, dan DKI sebenarnya, Bu. Dan beberapa daerah di luar Jawa juga. Nah, strateginya adalah strategi program PVI ini yang kita lakukan adalah melalui school culture. Yang disasar adalah kepala sekolah. Yang kedua classroom culture, guru, dan yang ketiga peace corner atau siswa. Karena di sekolah, 3 komponen inilah yang menjadi bagian penting dalam konteks menjaga sekolah dari paham-paham radikal, teroris, atau yang intoleran tadi. Nah, beberapa kegiatan kami adalah pertama, mengintervensi kurikulum. Salah satunya adalah kurikulum di Rohis, Rohani Islam. Apa yang kita intervensi? Memasukkan 4 isu yang menjadi bagian penting marketing ideologi kelompok-kelompok radikal terkait bagaimana Togut menjelaskan Togut, bagaimana menjelaskan khilafah, bagaimana menjelaskan anti kekerasan atas nama agama, bagaimana menjelaskan jihad. Juga bagaimana memanage, mengembangkan rohis dan training mentornya. Kira-kira itu. Itu intervensi yang pertama. Jadi yang pertama adalah intervensi kurikulumnya. Yang kedua, intervensi programnya. Kami membangun sebuah program kegiatan namanya Asia Program. Academy of Sow Your Ideas for Peace. Biasanya anak-anak, kita ajak anak-anak untuk mengembangkan narasi-narasi alternatif baik melalui offline maupun online dengan menggunakan media sosial yang mereka sangat paham dan sangat pintar lah gitu. Yang kedua dengan mengembangkan jaringan-jaringan antar sekolah. Kemudian kami juga mengembangkan peace festival dan bagaimana memanage alumni. Kira-kira begitu. Mungkin untuk selanjutnya Pak Atik, silakan Pak Atik karena waktunya terbatas.
Okay, thank you Pak Marbawi. And Bu Siti, you can stop me anytime when I cross the limit time, right?
Ya, 5 menit lagi Pak Atik, mohon maaf.
Okay, that's okay. That's okay. Well, what's panelists and participant, I would like to continue what Pak Marbawi said before. And before I continue, I need to explain some words that are quite foreign for some people. The first one is Rohis. Rohis is one of the extracurricular program at school. Students who have an interest in deepening religion can join this program. Then those who carry violence in the name of religion usually start by giving the wrong meaning to the concept of Togut, Khilafah, and Jihad. So the accusation by several parties that Indonesia is a secular country, especially Togut, is not true. It's wrong. Because although it is not a religious state, Indonesia gives freedom to the community to carry out their religious teaching responsible. So khilafah or khalifah or khilafat is usually interpreted with power of government. So the word khilafah Islamiyah refers to the Islamic government in the past era. The Indonesian Ulama Council or MUI is of the opinion that the implementation of the Caliphate system is not a must. So it doesn't become an obligation. Jihad has a broad meaning, namely being serious and working hard to do good. According to scholars, jihad can be manifested with the heart, spreading Islamic law, dialogue, discussion in the context of seeking the truth. Remember, the context of the seeking of the truth, presenting works for the benefit of Muslim, and by fighting infidelity. Right. Okay. I just continue without the without the slides, and the following program is that we have carried out. Okay, that's good. Can you? Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's okay. The following are the programs that we have carried out in an effort to prevent violent extremism. One of them is that a track of, you can have a look, the red color. The red color is one of the most popular program according to the student. That program attract the attention of students is to present former terrorists who have rediscovered the peaceful path of religious truth. The next slide, please. Okay. As you have a look here, one of the biggest emergencies of radicalism in schools is the reappearance of Rohis alumni who have not found a peaceful way to spread religion. That's why the recruitment of Rohis mentor, Rohis coaches is very important to pay attention to. Right? I just make some summaries of the slide. And next one, please. Okay, school budget intervention. Unfortunately, we have not found the best alternative in intervening in school program financing for violent pretension. So please do the next one. Okay. As Pak Marbabi said before, Akpai has started a violence prevention program in schools in 2008. In recent years, Akpai has succeeded in producing several important products in effort to prevent violence in school, as you can see in the slides. So we have 4 issues handbook for mentoring materials. We have the PE implementation books in school, and also we have community development. Community development is Rohis development, student group development. The number 1 is for NUSA, is National Rohis Forum, and then we have 4 students in South Tangerang to be developed in understanding how to become how to prevent the radicalism violence. Well, I think these are the best practice related to preventing violence in school that has been carried out by Akpai Indonesia. We have Rohis Camp, we have Rohis training, we have peaceful program, and then as a teacher, or a religious teacher, I am a religious teacher. I hope more people will understand that spreading religion peacefully is more important than just spreading religion. Peacefully, please. Thank you for everyone. That's all for Agpai Indonesia. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much and congratulations for Akpai for producing this. And I hope it will be distributed more and also teachers can learn from the strategy that have introduced by Dr. Mu'alla Seljuk, that is more on the personal level rather than on the like structural or macro level from. But everything is important. Micro and macro all are important. Now we would like to move on to our next panels that will consist also from 3 people, if I understand correctly. That is Mr. Albert Alasak, Dr. Ibrahim Kurt, and also Dr. Amar Pilisin. Is that correct, or there will be some change in the composition of the membership? In any case, I think Dr. Inater Afes, we also will be in the panel. So the information regarding the speakers are already there. So I would like to give the screen to them to save the time. Please.
One moment, I will share my screen. On behalf of our team, I will present our presentation. My name is Alper Alasa. Our team consists of 2 theologians who were educated in Turkey, but got their PhD in Germany and the Netherlands. A psychologist from Dutch descent, Inater Afest, who is specialized in religious education, and me, working in different Islamic organizations in the field of interfaith dialogue for more than 20 years. In Western European societies, religious education might be a partner in dialogue for the development of modules of citizenship education. It's our idea. On the one hand, a source for living the good life. On the other hand, offering a horizon to be reached by living the good life. Well aware of the intersectionality of a range of aspects like political ideology, social stratification, and ethnicity. Not including religion in citizenship education might lead young Muslims to internet to learn what the Islamic tradition has to say about the good life. Internet knowledge, as you know, might lead to polarization and radicalization. Inherent in religious traditions is that they move and change in an everlasting process of adaptation to the cultural context their adherents live in. This is also characteristic for today's religious traditions. In today's plural societies, traditions are facing new challenges in their developments towards an unknown future. Unknown but presented in narratives and metaphors in the Quran and Sunnah. A strict and literal understanding of tradition and intolerance for the other prevents living together in a respectful way. Rethinking and exploring age-old texts in relation to everyday life will support new understandings and practices in line with the message of the Quran. In the Netherlands, radicalization of Muslim youngsters is seen as an urgent problem. In our project, we take young people's understanding of religion serious. By way of strengthening roots and creating space for stretching the wings. The module for education we developed aims at broadening young people's horizons or in dialogical self-theory terminology, at increasing their number of inner voices and making their positioning process more flexible. The focus is on the development of resilience. We updated for this an age-old board game and named it Mirror Mind. The other as a mirror, a mind-changing game. The game creates a space for dialogue and mutual exchange of knowledge and experiences, which contributes to the development of individual and group resilience. The game has proven to be a powerful tool to get students involved in classroom conversations. We piloted this game and around 300 pupils had played this game in different settings. Mirror Mind enabled students to encounter different worldviews in the context of school as an embryonic society. A problem of young Muslims in the gap between their, creative teaching and learning plays an important role in modern educational methods. Our game is based on the ideas of playful learning. Playing games helps children to develop the knowledge they need in order to connect in a meaningful way with diversity in society. Through games, they get familiar with differences in the context of school, which prepares them for living amidst differences in society. The gift of play gives opportunities and invites the participants for dialogical attitudes. With the help of game, participants will be in the shoes of others, that's the main idea, and broaden the understanding of the behaviors and attitudes, including different religions and cultures. Play is seen as a capacity to deal simultaneously and subjunctively with two or more ways of classifying reality. By playing with central concepts of Islam, students become familiar with different perspectives that to start with are disruptive and that in the end contribute to a richer understanding of tradition. The board game Satranj al-Arifin, translated as Wise Man's Chess, was modified in middle age by, according to tradition, by Sufi cleric Ibn Arabi and used as an instrument in Sufi religious education. The board consists of a road. Participants engage in a journey, and on the way they are confronted with different core concepts of Islam like justice, love, and sin. We translated the core concepts from Arabic to Old Turkish, to today's Turkish, and to Dutch, and we are now busy translating it into German. The outputs of the workshops and pilots with Muslim youngsters acknowledge our presupposition that the game Mirror Mind is a good medium to transfer the message of Islam and familiarize pupils with possible practices based on the core concepts. Playing the game has the potential to strengthen students' religious identity and accordingly stimulate character development. We see the game Mirror Mind as a serious play for today's Muslim youngsters in the plural context of Europe. Some Muslim youngsters may have some incomplete or radical ideas or views through socialization in their families, with peers, and in the mosque, or through internet. Mirror Mind creates a safe space for dialogue with peers and with the voice of tradition under the guidance of an experienced teacher who is familiar with the Islamic tradition. This is an example of some of the concepts we translated and for which we used the tradition, the verses from the Quran and the Hadith. We try to focus on everyday life in the Netherlands, how these concepts from the Quran can be translated in a contextual Dutch situation. In our team, we worked on the translation of these Islamic concepts by taking into account that the youngsters have to do the same. They are listening in the mosques about how to be a good Muslim, explained by imams, but these imams came from Turkey or Morocco, the majority of the imams here in Holland, and they are reading books about Islam, which are written either in Turkey or Arabic countries and translated into Dutch, but these books were written for a public of Muslim majority in Turkey or in Morocco. So these youngsters have to apply these concepts they hear in the mosques or they read in the books and try to apply these concepts in their daily life. But the situation is very different. In Holland, it is not a majority of Muslim country, but it is an interfaith society in which religion is not always seen as very positive. So they need to apply these concepts in their life in this society, which is very multicultural, and they have to be when they apply this, they have a need that they are accepted by this society, at the same time accepted by their parents, by their imams, by their peers. And while doing this, they have to be in peace with themselves, and they without losing their Islamic identity, but at the same time building a Dutch Islamic identity. So it's a very difficult and long process for the youngsters to cope with, to apply all these Islamic core concepts into their daily life. This is the game we have developed for the classroom situation. The game stands not alone. It is a part of a 7 lessons module in which there's attention for identity development, diversity, Islamophobia, but also environmental issues, etc. And this is how the game is played. There's a start, there is a finish. There are chances on the way. There are snakes biting, and there are ladders which bring the pupils further. And so the youngsters tell about these concepts in which they discuss how they came across to these concepts in their daily life, and other pupils tell their experiences. So there is an exchange of these concepts. And you see about the Dutch translation, also the original Arabic words of these concepts. So the idea is they discuss these concepts and exchange their experiences, and through which they hear a lot of different voices, different positions, so that the children, when they are confronted by these concepts through, for example, an internet text, which is very radical, for example, they don't know the other positions. They didn't encounter other pupils, and they didn't encounter other people voicing their own positions, understanding these concepts and how they apply in their daily life. So we give them a chance to these youngsters to discuss all these different positions and how they understand these concepts and how they apply in their daily life, through which we hope that they now have many different choices to choose from. which is a good way to combat radicalism, because radicalism is also about not giving another choice, just dominating a voice which says you have to follow this line of thought because the Quran says this, or the Prophet said that. They enlighten only one aspect of one interpretation. So taking our starting point in religious development and religious identity development, and not in poverty or discrimination, we turned to psychological theories on identity development. Our aim was to facilitate and stimulate students' religious development as part of an ongoing development of identity, religion and citizenship being important constituents. To stimulate processes of exploration and commitment, we developed 7 lessons, as I told, including this game. For exploration, knowledge is needed. So in the lessons, we guide students in reading texts and narratives from Quran and Hadith and the contextual interpretations thereof. Also, we give them information about identity development and different roles they have, all together the makeup for their unique identity as a faithful person and as participative citizens in the Netherlands. During the lessons, and in particular while playing the game Mirror Mind, there is a safe space for students to discuss their daily experiences with discrimination, polarization, and victimization, and the emotions that go with this, but also positive concepts. The students put themselves to the test in a self-evaluation by way of connecting core statements related to the lessons and Mirror Mind to positive and negative feelings, and in particular in reflections thereof with classmates. The students gain insights in their understanding and positioning regarding the subjects at stake. So in our next paper, we evaluate the methodology and the difficulties we encountered during this translation process, as well as share issues that challenges the inclusivity of Mirror Mind for religious educators. Thank you for listening. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much. So the other speakers,
I was presenting on behalf of our team.
Oh, okay, good. Thank you very much. So it is very interesting way of learning with the board games. That in Indonesia we call it snake and ladders.
Yes.
Snake and ladders, and I think teachers could also adopt that to to put some of the issues of the mirror mind that is relevant to their situation. Dr. Albert Alasa already given, and the team already given this example where the context is the immigrant, the immigrant who is somehow detached from their own old tradition and try to find a new way where they could find their identity, and then immerse to the embrace the new community with peace and proud of their own legacy. And I'm just informed by the committee that we still have one more presenter, that is Dr. Ismail Hassan from Malaysia. Is that correct? Is Dr. Ismail Hassan Aziz with us right now?
Ismail Hussein, can you hear me?
Yes. He's already on the participants list, and we also,
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, please. Yes.
Okay. Just want to share my slide.
Alhamdulillah.
Good.
Okay. Can you see my slide?
It's coming, I guess. Oh.
Can you see my slide?
Not yet. Yeah.
We see it now.
We see it.
Yes.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And good afternoon to the speakers and to the listener. Before I start my presentation today, I would first like to thank the organizers of this conference, and specifically Prof. Ina for introducing me to this organization and to this event. And at the same time, I would like to thank for giving me the opportunity to present or to share something, in this event. I took a different approach to my presentation and to what I want to present today, because I believe my topic is driven by the subject that I'm teaching. By the way, I'm a lecturer at the International Islamic University, Malaysia. Okay, and based on I created the topic based on the Islamic philosophy that I'm teaching, and where I have to compare and construct between Western and Islamic philosophy. Okay, let me share with you what I have today. Okay, my topic is titled as Western and Islamic philosophy of education, the core differences and way forward. Okay, I try to, as I mentioned before, I try to look at it from the unique perspective because I strongly believe that the conflict and the problem that the East and the West has today has something to do with the understanding and the philosophy. The way we philosophize, it tends to be very different. And we have some core differences. And those differences are the one that I believe that set us apart and leads to some of the few problems that we have, or radicalism or terrorism. So in my paper, I will try to emphasize on some of the few differences, not all, and I will try to provide some of the few solutions which I believe that could help to bridge the gap between East and West. First, based on my title that I have, I did some survey and with among of my students, and based on my experience and my background from Al-Azhar University and from my journey into Arab countries and Muslim countries, I strongly believe that our philosophies are different. And this philosophy, from my perspective, based on my experience, my research, I found that it is the major issue that we are facing today. I do agree with what my colleagues have presented about focusing much on educational sectors. I will also represent on educational sectors, but there are fundamental issues that we need to tackle. First, I believe that we need to define what is radicalism, because I can believe that the word I've been using, so much in this conference, where I couldn't see any definition of radicalism. And I've been hearing many presentations about terrorism and radicalism and all these kind of thought idea have been blamed on the Muslim world. We have been throwing many books. We have been throwing books to the Muslims and to the Muslim world, whereby we have not even tackled from the Western side. We believe that all the problems that we are facing today is simply or mainly focused from the Muslim world, which I believe it is wrong. Okay, we have to look at where the concept, the idea of radicalism, where it comes from, what leads to radicalism. We need to tackle that. We need to defend that. We need to go, down deep, dive deep to the cause of the radicalism. So I believe, different opinion, different philosophy lead to radicalism. Okay, the first, I would like to share why we are different, and these are some of the causes of radicalism. It started from education. It started from how we see education, how we perceive education. As a Muslim, we see education, as a part of our religion, and we believe that seeking education, according to the Prophet Muhammad is a compulsory. It's an obligation. And we as a Muslim sees education as ibadah, that it is part of our ibadah. You have to be educated. And based on, based on Hadith, Rasul said that al-ilmu faridatun ala kulli muslim wa muslim. It means that knowledge is compulsory for everyone. It's not something additional. You have to have a knowledge as a Muslim because it's part of our ibadah. And at the same time also, when education is considered as an ibadah, and education is not limited. We have to keep on seeking for knowledge, because Prophet also emphasized on that utub al-ilm min mahdi illa lahad. It means that as a Muslim, you have to keep on, upgrading, improving yourself. So this is, this is how we see knowledge. To us, education is not commodified. It's not something that can be commercialized. We see it as an ibadah. It's not something that we seek for it for the sake of pleasure, or we seek for the sake of this dunya. We seek it because we have to have it. So when it comes to the Western idea, Westerns saw this differently or perceive it differently. Western may look at education as a development of mind and self, whereby, from sociological perspective, education is to beautify, is to improve, individual lives. And it could be seen by the Western, from the Western perspective, as a mechanism to improve the intellectual capacity and for moral judgment and for self-realization, individual freedom, individual responsibility, and self-control. When you look at all these definitions, all these factors, you can see that they are much more personal and more flexible. And it is somehow materialistic in nature, whereby we seek knowledge for the sake of enjoyment, to improve ourselves, and to have for the sake of wealth and for the sake of control. So when you construct this with the Western, with the Muslim way of seeing education, you can see that there's a big difference between both. So from our own perspective, we can see that we have a gap there, and this gap have to be bridged, with the sense that we have to find a common way to see that education is not only meant. In Islam did not say we should not seek for education Islam did not say that education is not for something else. It did not say that you should not seek for knowledge for the sake of better life, for better future. Yes, I mean we have been instructed that we should seek for knowledge to improve ourselves, and at the same time we should not forget who we are. So this is where Muslims differ a little bit from the Western perspective. Western limited education with the sense that it is meant for personal development, whereas in the Muslim world, yet it is for personal development and for society development as well. And at the same time, also it's considered as an ibadah, it's considered as a religion or a ritual that we need to keep on practicing it. And at the same time, when it comes to the philosophy of education, we tend to be different, the way we perceive, the way we philosophize about education. So from the Islamic perspective, you can see that Islamic philosophy tends to focus more on providing knowledge and to ensure that this knowledge is sufficient. And this knowledge is there to equip Muslims for them to remember their creation and their creator. We seek for knowledge, for us to be a better person, to improve our ibadah. So that's why we can see in Zabura, it said that we created you, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْإِنسَ وَالْجِنَّ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. It's mean that I did not create human being and jinn except to worship Allah. So this is how we philosophize, education. And we should remember, education also should make us remember that we have a duty and responsibility to perform as a vigilant of Allah on the earth, as a Khalifatullah on the earth. And we should have in our mind that education is to produce a man with a good consciousness, as emphasized by Ali Ghazali, saying that education is to bring good thing out of the human being. is to make human beings closer to Allah. So these are the way how we philosophize education. Education is not only for the enjoyment, is for you to be thankful, not to be thankless, to be thankful to Allah, the creator that created you, that bestowed those kind of ni'mah and hikmah for you, and for you to be mindful about your duty, that you have a duty to perform and you have responsibility to take care and accountability as well. So, and don't forget that you are not here on this earth for fun. As some Western and some Western may look at it that education is to beautify, is for the betterment of life. No, it's not only that. It's for you to be thankful to the person that created you, that bestowed that knowledge, that granted that knowledge to you. And at the same time, if you have your own quota, your contribution to your society for the betterment of the society and for the betterment of humanity. So this is how Islam has philosophized and education. So when it comes to the Western view.
1 more minute, Dr. Ismail. Sorry.
Oh okay.
Yeah,
I will go
thank
first.
you.
But this is
I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is considered different when it comes to the Western perspective. Western see, as I mentioned before, it is more into materialistic. Western philosophy education with the sense of for accumulate the wealth, for and to have worldly gains and to satisfy ourselves. So this is how the Western perceive, education. So we have some few differences, especially when it comes to the philosophical foundation. So especially when it comes to the ontology, these are the branches of philosophy, whereby when it comes to ontology, we are talking about spirituality and modernism. So this is another differences that we have among ourselves. In the Muslim world, we believe in spirituality, where Western believe in materialism. So when it comes to anthropology, anthropological foundation, or from the anthropological perspective, we tend to be different because it is about humanity and society. Muslim emphasize, or Islam emphasize on humanity. The philosophy of education is the betterment of humanity, and why Western emphasize on improvement of society. And when it comes to the epistemology, when it comes to that part, is about the theory of knowledge. From the Western perspective, from the Islamic perspective, we believe that we seek for the knowledge for the sake of Allah, and we have to make sure that our knowledge is useful for the sake of ourselves and for the sake of Ummah, whereby Western did not believe that the source of knowledge comes from the revelation. And zoology, when it comes to zoology, it's about the theory of ethic and value. And we already know that the biggest problem we have with the Western, it is about morality, whereby Western people emphasize on taking out of morality in our daily life, in the politics, in the school. They believe that morality has something to do, is something personal. It is something personal, that if you want to be immoral or you want to integrate moral into teaching, so you have to go to the religion school. It should not be applied in the public schools. So these are some of the few differences that we have. But last not the least, what is the way forward? Okay, first, I would like to emphasize on 5 elements that how to bridge the gap between East and West. First, education to fight terrorism and radicalism. Okay, I come up with this idea with the sense of latest issue that happen around the world, where we have terrorism and radicalism. Example of Al-Shabaab in Somalia and Boko Haram in Nigeria. So if you look at it, these have something to do with the ideology. If you look at these people, they have a problem with the ideology. So we need to sit down with them and try to reorient those people. Because as example of Boko Haram believe that Western education is haram. So we need to sit down with them and ask, where do you come up with, where do you get this kind of ideology from? Why you solely believe that all Western education is haram? Yet there are some of the few Western education that we have to Islamize. We have to Islamize it. So this is what leads to the Islamization of knowledge. But we should not condemn all Western or all knowledge that came from Western world. So this is what they believe, and this is what they have in their mind. So we need education to reorient those people. We need to sit down and teach them and educate them how they interpret in the Quran and Hadith in a wrong way. So because what leads to terrorism and radicalism, it is how they interpret the Quran and Hadith. Okay, so we need to sit down, we need to educate them, we need to reorient them that, okay, this is not the way you're supposed to translate in the Quran. So this is, this is not the way you're supposed to have the concept of Akida. Okay, so the second one is about bargaining values. Okay, I mentioned this one, or I believe that bargaining values and religions understanding will solve a lot of problems. So as I mentioned before, that we should not always throw the book to the Muslim world. Western also should take some accountability that they should respect values. So because Western believe in dominance, and Western education have been, has dominated Islamic world since the beginning of 19th century. And there is something called innocentrism. So they believe that their education is the best and they have to influence everyone and they have to influence everyone. So Western also need to know that there are some values that related to religion that they cannot go beyond that. We cannot solely blame Muslim world for what is happening. Western also need to be blamed as well, that we should respect. We should not, your open-mindedness should have a boundary. Okay, you cannot keep on dominating, you cannot keep on influencing, bringing all your idea into Muslim world and expect and forcing Muslim to accept all this ideology.
Excuse me, Dr. Ismail Hussein, can you?
Okay, yeah, no, and freedom of thought and freedom of thought at the same time also. Yeah, Islam allow freedom of thought, but not the expense of the religion values. And modern science and technology, yes, Muslims are lot in terms of science and technology. We need to really revamp the curriculum and the pedagogy of our madrasa. It is completely outdated. So we need to learn from Western, especially when it comes to the sciences and when it comes to technology, integration of technology. And last but not the least, research collaboration. I think we can have a common ground where Muslim researchers and Western researchers can sit together and collaborate when it comes to the research, so that we can blend the culture, so we can know each other more and we can improve ourselves and understand ourselves better. So, and this is my latest book that just come out. It is about supporting modern teaching in Islamic school. This is where we talk about revamping the pedagogical of madrasa in the Muslim world. And I believe, and I think Prof. Ina also have a chapter in this book, whereby we need to revamp our curriculum. We need to modernize it so that we cannot be left behind. So, thank you very much for giving the opportunity. So thank you and for listening. Wassalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Thank you very much. Congratulations also for the publication of your book. I just asked the committee with the time frame, and they said like we could take like one question, and later the speakers could answer that one question and make also the statement points to close this session before I return the forum to the master ceremony. So what question shall we pick? Or did anyone want to raise one question? If we may? I didn't see any. If not, then I would like to invite each of the speakers to, give one to most important point that you would like the participants to take away with them and dream of it and think of it after the conference. Let's start with reverse the order from this, like one sentence from each of you, from Dr. Ismail Hassan, please.
Okay, one question from my side, or?
No, no. Just one most important point that you would like the participants to take away with.
Okay.
Just one, yes, one sentence.
Point. Yeah, one thing. Yeah, I think we need balance between Muslim world and the West. Okay, because both world they have extremism. We have extremism in our world, and in Western also they have extremism. So we need to, you know, we are both radicalists. I don't believe that only Muslim are radical. Western also are radical the way they influence other people culture or education. So we need to sit down and find a common ground where we can work amicably, and where we can integrate the culture and the knowledge. That's all.
Thank you very much. I think none of the presenters said that radicalism only exists in Islam. They acknowledge that it exists in every religious cultures, in like countries and cultures, etc., etc. Thank you very much. Now, Dr. Mr. Alpir Alasak, please.
Thank you. My point would be for the teachers that they should be aware of and be knowledgeable about all the different positions which exists in the Quran about how to engage with each other, with other people from other backgrounds, and to discuss all these positions with their students, and to maybe to do this in a form of a play, like we suggest, can help the teachers as well as the students to discuss these issues in a playful manner. So it will ease the tension, and it will be more to their feelings and to their positions they take in the interpretation of these verses, the different positions in the Quran and in Sunnah, and how they are applying this, etc. And they hear from other pupils and the teacher all the different interpretations and the applications of these verses. So it will help them to broaden their horizon and to choose and to have many different voices to choose from in different contexts. So that would be my suggestion, especially for the teachers.
Thank you very much, Dr. Marbawi and Dr. Atik.
Okay, thanks. For the closing statement, I hope this conference can generate many perspectives regarding preventing violent extremism through religious education. And ALPI, the Association of Indonesian Islamic Religious Education Teacher, has attention and experience in implementing preventing violent extremism. We hope that this experience can enrich the treasure for the development of the PVE programs and strengthening the real cooperation between us.
Thank you. Dr. Atik? Do you want to say? Yeah, please. You're still muted. Please open your mic, please.
Yes, thank you. Sorry. Just short point for me. For my colleagues, teachers, we believe that spreading religion is an important, but please do it as Rasulullah SAW say, by peacefully. That's my point. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Muhammad Wildan, are you still with us? No? Okay.
Yes.
Oh, yes, please. Sorry. The most important point, please.
Yeah. Can you listen my sound,
yes.
my voice?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Yeah. For me, religious education is very important for our children, and that is one way to make it better is to improve improve and upgrade the religious teachers' knowledge on contemporary issues of Islam to prevent the issues of extremism in many social medias. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I would like to invite Professor Dr. Mualla Seljuk, if you're still with us. Oh yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I will follow Wildan's point that we are working on the role of religious education. Please remember that religious education is not only religion, is not only education, it is both. It needs an integration. When we integrate both, from the religious side, we need a theology, which is respectful to the roots of our tradition and also is able to build a bridge today for today. So this is the theological part. And in preventing the radicalism, for me, from this point of view, the philosophy of Ta'aruf is important. They could take the Ta'aruf. And from the educational side, we should learn and make more research about the developmental of the children. We should learn from the psychology, sociology, anthropology, as one of the speakers focused on, and language. We should build a common language between Christian and Muslim, let's say, and one of the way of building a common language and a common ground is teaching the concept. We should start from the concept in order to understand each other, in order to establish a mutual understanding for understanding deep in our faith and respect the other faith. And I see this conference a very good contribution and a very important contribution to learn from each other, establish a common ground between each other. And thank you, Chair, and thank you all the participants for this very important table for thought, to our thoughts and for our hearts. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Very rich conclusion. You will take in your heart and your mind, and it's become our homework and our, dream for next program. And with this, I'm Siti Samsiatun. I would like to apologize for any shortcomings. Maybe I cut your time. Do not introduce you properly. Please forgive me, and I do apologize for that. And now I would like to return the screen to the Master of Ceremony to continue the program. Mas Rifki, please. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Ms. Samsiatun. It is a very fruitful discussion we have today. And to finally close our conference or discussions, we would like to have a final closing remarks that will be delivered by Dr. Ina Terafes. She is the professor in Holland University of Applied Science, and also chief editor, International Journal Christian Education in Korea. Dr. Ina Terafes, the time is yours.
Thank you very much. Of course, there is a lot to say now as concluding remarks. And I promise I will send you an elaborated version of my concluding remarks in English, and that will be translated into Bahasa Indonesia, I hope. But due to the time, I will just conclude now by thanking the organizers and expressing my gratitude to Amba, to the chair of the organizing committee of this conference, and to you, the charming master of ceremony, and to the translators for creating this safe space to exchange our ideas on religious education and on the prevention of radicalization. I promised to send you an elaborated draft of my concluding remarks, but now I would only conclude by expressing that for us, for all of us, academic scholars, researchers, teachers, students, and their parents alike, courage is needed to strive against the stream of us against them, to create safe spaces where dissonant voices can be expressed and listened to, and stand the uncertainty of the outcome of such challenging dialogical encounters. Whatever, we must open our minds for surprising new insights, insights we now can hardly imagine, but at the end of the day, that will contribute to a world where each person matters, whatever religion, conviction, or worldview. Despite violence, and despite even saber rattling at different places in the world today, inspired by our religious traditions, we can be courageous and hopeful. I'll pray for a better world and make every effort together with you in the years to come. I'm looking forward to our collaboration for the well-being of our students now and in the future. See you at another time on the screen or hopefully in real life. And thank you all for these beautiful encounters, these 2 days of our conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ina. And it signifies the end of our international conference on the prevention of radicalization through religious education. And last but not least, on the previous day, I quoted the words of wisdom from Africa by Nelson Mandela and America by Benjamin Franklin. But today, I would like to cite a quote from Asia about education, of course. If you are planning for a year, sow rice. If you are planning for a decade, plant trees. If you are planning for a lifetime, educate people. Thank you, everyone, and see you at the next conference, dear all educators.
Thank you, Ibu Ina. Thank you very much for your conference. Terima kasih, Bu Samsiatun, Pak Wildan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you Prof. Ismail, Pak Wildan, Pak Martowi, Alvar, Ina, Pak Adi, and everyone. Thank you very much. Also to Professor Muala. Thank you very much for coming and participate in this conference.
Thank you, Prof. Ina.
Yeah.
Bu Ina ditunggu di Jakarta.
Yes.